But without further ado, a guy that I admire very much, he's the former governor of the great state of Nevada, and to be frank with you, I wish he was still our governor, with all due respect to Joe Lombardo. And he has been absolutely working hard to try to get Kamala Harris back. I shouldn't say back to the White House because she is the vice president, but to make her the first female president in the history of this country. So it's an honor to have former Governor Steve Sisolak of the great state of Nevada joining us right now on the line. Governor, I really do appreciate you coming back on and taking the time, my friend. How are you?
I'm terrific. It's always a pleasure, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Governor, so much. I have to ask you this to start, and I hate to ask you a negative question, but what did you make of that MSG rally that Donald Trump held in New York City the other day and the hateful rhetoric? I mean, what was your reaction to that?
Well, I'm disappointed in the rhetoric, but I'm even more disappointed that so many people are buying into it. I mean, imagine filling a Madison Square Garden. I've been in Madison Square Garden with people that are buying into the rhetoric, and that sentiment is disappointing.
Yeah,
very disappointing.
It is, and I mean, what do you make of the excuses? I mean, I know all the times that you've run for office, no matter what it was, whether it was governor or whatever it was. Don't you guys vet people that introduce you? You guys vet people that you know who they are. What do you make of the fact of the excuses that Trump makes? Oh, I didn't know who this guy was. We didn't know. What do you make of that?
Well, I can't speak, obviously, at the presidential level how much vetting they do. Clearly, at the level I was at, you vetted the people that were going to go up and speak. To be candid, we never approved anybody's comments or their speech. You kind of gave them guidelines to go by, but you hoped that they were going to express your sentiment and represent you adequately. Those comments were just absolutely despicable.
Yeah, I agree with you. Governor, what do you make of the fact that this race is so close, not just in the state of Nevada, of course, but throughout the country? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a certain amount of dissatisfaction, with the electorate, and I understand that. People are concerned about the cost of living. I hear that every day from folks when I'm speaking and campaigning for Kamala, that, hey, Governor, if you go in the grocery store and you see what it costs to, buy food for a family, and right now to buy food for a family would be tough to do, right? It's tough to do. Cost of living is up. Immigration is up. Yet at the same time, we've got the most pro-union, pro-labor administration we've ever had in this country, in my opinion. And I think that they're going to go a long way towards getting in line some of these prescription drug prices, some of the price gouging that's occurring, and giving the middle class and the lower middle class a chance to actually succeed and have a better life.
Governor, do you put anything into the fact that it seems like the turnout for Republicans in the state of Nevada is very high with early voting? Do you make anything of that, or do you take the side of these are probably people that would have been voting on Election Day anyway? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't make too much out of the early voting. I mean, you talk to people regularly, and we've made it so you've got a wide choice. Some people, Brian, are traditionalists. They want to go on Election Day, they want to stand in the line, and they want to cast their ballot because they've been doing that for 40 or 50 years. Yeah. And I get that. I totally understand that. Others say, look, it's convenient to just put it in the mail, you fill out your ballot, you put it in, you sign the envelope, and you mail it in. Others say, look, I'm at the grocery store, I'm at the mall, it's a good time, let me stop in and vote. So I think it's a matter of convenience. And there's certain people that are just said, hey, look, let me get this out of the way. I think there's a certain amount, I think I'm going to use the word for disgust existing with this campaign right now. Yeah. And people are saying, let me just vote and get it over with. Let me get it done so I don't have to listen to these ads anymore. I don't have to be subjected to this kind of commentary. And that's why they're voting early. But I don't think the turnout's going to be much changed overall. You're going to see less, I think, on Election Day and a little more early going in.
Sure. I want to ask you a little bit about your instincts, gut instincts, right? The first time you ran for governor, did you have instincts that you said, geez, I think this is going to happen. I think I'm going to be the next governor of the great state of Nevada. And then on the flip side of it, when you're running against Joe Lombardo, whether it be weeks or days before, did you have a feeling like, uh-oh, I might be in trouble? And there's a reason why I'm asking you this, because I wanted to get your instincts on what you think is going to happen Tuesday. But as someone who's run for office plenty of times, do you have those instincts, and are your instincts usually right, or do you pay any attention to that at all?
Yeah, I did have the instincts. The first time I thought we had a really good chance going in. I think things were breaking our way. On the re-election, a couple of years back, I knew we were in trouble when one donor put $40 million into my opponent's race. It's just, you can't overcome that kind of money in a state race. It's just virtually impossible. They bought up all the TV time that existed, paid walkers, paid campaign canvassers and whatnot. So we knew we were in trouble just by the sheer magnitude of the contributions of one individual. So
right.
You get an idea. You're so close to it. Of course, you get people trying to keep pumping you up, encouraging you to keep you going for the last few days because it gets tough. I mean, for either of these, I mean, Donald Trump's not a young man. It's tough flying across the country, and Kamala has been on this for months and months and months, and I'm sure they're running out of energy. They're running on fumes at this point. So
agree.
It's difficult, but they're going to hang in there for 5 more days.
It's interesting, right, Governor? Because I feel like if not for COVID, and I didn't think you did anything wrong. If not for COVID, I think you would still be our governor. But I also, on the flip side of it, think if not for COVID, Trump might still be the president as well. It's interesting how things happen the way they are, isn't it?
It absolutely is interesting. And if you look at what's happened during this entire election cycle, it's one of the most interesting or unusual, whatever you want to call election cycles. You had an assassination attempt on President Trump. You had President Biden, who was actually going to be the candidate and kept insisting he was going to stay in. He told me he was going to stay in until the very last minute, and then he got out. A lot has happened in this election cycle, and we've got then the comments that are being made and the media scrutiny that these folks are under. They say one thing, or one of their people say one thing, it's magnified, 1,000-fold. So, yeah, it's a very interesting cycle, and it's not over yet.
And you know Joe Biden very well. You worked with him when you were governor. What do you make of the fact that he makes this comment yesterday, calling, he was trying to, I guess he clarified, trying to call one of his supporters, at MSG, garbage, and he clarified his comments, and Republicans are going crazy over that statement, yet Donald Trump said the entire country is garbage. Didn't need to clarify anything. That's what he said, right, Governor?
Yeah. That's what he says, and that's what he believes. I really believe that's what he believes, and that's what a lot of his followers are buying into, which is really disappointing. I think President Biden had a bad choice of words in terms of how he portrayed his message, how he got it across. I don't think the way the Republicans are portraying this is fair, is accurate. But I think that's how Donald Trump feels, and I think at this desperate time, I think he sees it slipping away a little bit, and he's going to be more and more outspoken.
Agree. Governor, we talked a little bit about your instincts. What are your instincts on what you think is going to happen on Tuesday? And I understand we might not know who won for a few days, but what are your instincts, your feelings on Nevada? Let's start there, and then the country.
The country, I think Kamala's in decent shape. I mean, the Midwest, you're looking at Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota breaking her way. The numbers that she's showing up a little bit. I think Pennsylvania is going to be close, but I think she might have a slight edge there. Nevada's going to be tough. Nevada's going to be really tough for Kamala. For whatever reason, some of the unions don't seem to be as engaged as they were previously, and unless they engage in the last few minutes here, I think it could be difficult for her in Nevada. We're working hard. Let me tell you, we're not leaving one vote on the table.
Oh, I know you are, Governor. What do you think of Jennifer Lopez coming to town tomorrow, campaigning for Kamala Harris? We had Barack Obama in town about a week and a half ago. We had Bill Clinton, who I met the other day, that was in town. Tim Walz was here the other day. Mark Cuban was here doing a town hall. I mean, they're really pulling out the big names for this.
They're pulling out the stops. That you never know which individual is going to appeal to a certain group or a certain group of individuals. And they're trying to, reach out to everybody to make it look good. And I think because of that, she might pull it out on Election Day. That you might pull out, but I think it could be. When I say close, I think it could be a matter of a couple thousand votes, one way or the other, on Election Day in Nevada.
Boy, could that be a nightmare, couldn't it? It sounds to me, Governor, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds to me you're saying it might be tough for Kamala to win the state of Nevada. She could very well lose Nevada, but it's sounding to me like you're saying you're confident that it'll be a close race, but that you're expecting her to win the race.
I'm cautiously optimistic that she'll win the country, win nationwide, win the presidency. Yeah. I'm a little less optimistic about Nevada, but I still think Nevada's clearly in play. We got a good chance in Nevada. The team is working so hard, and I know she feels she's got a good chance, and I think they can pull it out in the very end, but like I said, I think it's going to be really, really close, Brian.
Well, Governor, I'm obviously on your side, and you were a really good governor. Wish you were still the governor, quite frankly, but I always appreciate it when you take the time to come on the show. Let's hope we get the result that we want next week, but I think the important thing, Governor, is if we don't, we know that Kamala Harris will concede, and we'll still have democracy, and I'm worried about our democracy, though, if Donald Trump wins, and if he loses, he will never concede. That's got to be something on your mind.
That's clearly on my mind, and it's some people have said to me, what's worse, if he wins and we're going to deal with it for 4 years, if he loses, and the state of effect that this could pull this entire country into, that he'd push a country into with this, because his supporters are just not going to, they're going to follow him, and he's not going to concede gracefully. That's just not what's going to happen. So, yeah, we're hoping for the best. And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be Tuesday. I think it's going to be later in the week next week.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Governor, I always appreciate it, and we know how busy you are to take the time to join me, and hopefully we'll see you at the rally tomorrow. I really do appreciate your time, Governor Steve Sisolak, and we'll talk to you soon, okay? Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you much for having me.
Thank you, Governor. There you go, Governor Steve Sisolak joining us. All right, well, there you go. You heard it from the governor. He's very optimistic that Kamala Harris is going to be our next president, but he's very concerned about the state of Nevada, as am I, by the way. I agree with everything he said.